Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Adobo and Avocados. I'm Marie as usual, and today I have my really important sidekick with me. Would you like to
Ooh,
introduce yourself?
I'm like the Robin to your Batman, otherwise known as Nicole van der Hoeven. Hi, I'm in the Netherlands today, and I'm really excited to welcome our guest over there. Oh, I got it right. That's Kulas Angeles. Welcome
Woo!
to the channel.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Marie. Hi, Nicole. My name is Kulas Angeles. If I'm in Canada, if I'm in the Philippines,
Oh,
it's
Sorry.
Angeles.
Angeles, yeah.
So that's what they call me here.
Oh,
And I'm
yeah.
excited to be here in your ANA.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
This is so exciting. So I'm gonna start the live stream with this question that we always ask our guests, and I don't think we need to explain this to you, Kulas. But what is your adobo?
Yeah.
So, is there a specific food that reminds you of home?
Yeah. Adobo for me is adobo.
Adobo.
Simple adobo. Not
Yeah,
the chicken. I like the pork adobo.
yeah.
It's
Ooh,
really
me
I prefer
too.
pork. I prefer
Same.
pork adobo as well. Yeah.
exactly right. When you have all those fats and all those grease.
Yeah.
That's the perfect adobo for me. Plus sinangag, right?
Oh
Fried
my god.
rice.
Yeah, garlic fried rice.
Yes, that's right. So that's my adobo. Another one I know I have a lot is the ube makapuno cake from Red Ribbon. Very
Oh, wow, that's
Filipino.
so
It's super
specific.
specific.
Specific?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I miss the
Yeah,
Red Ribbon ube makapuno cake.
nice.
The
I
Can
don't
I
think
roll
say
I've
one.
peach
tried
mango
that.
pie from Jollibee? A
Yeah.
Jollibee ba or McDo?
Yeah,
No,
it's
it's Jollibee.
Jollibee. Yeah,
Jollibee nga, okay.
there's
Yeah.
no Red Ribbon here in Canada. We have Jollibee though.
There is Jollibee, yeah. See, that's the thing. We don't have that in the Netherlands.
Oh no.
Mm. Come here,
Yeah.
Nicole. Come here.
I know. Why you have a Jollibee in the
Yes.
UK?
Yes, we have
What?
two.
Where do
So
you
yeah,
get
there's
all
two
the cool
branches
things?
already. Yeah.
Just you just think you're so good since you left the EU.
Here we go again. Yeah, every episode, Nicole likes to make fun of that.
Yeah.
Cool
Anyway,
kid.
Kulas, I think this is particularly relevant because you are, like Marie and me, a Filipino that doesn't live in the Philippines anymore. How did you get to Canada? And did you come straight from the Philippines to Canada?
Yeah, it's a funny story when people ask me how I got here. It's actually a decision when I was stuck in the traffic in EDSA. I'm not sure if you still
Mm.
know EDSA.
Wow,
I
okay.
was I was driving in traffic in EDSA, and I realized I don't want to live here anymore. Like,
Mm.
being stuck 1 hour, 1.5 hours when I was 7 kilometers away from the office.
Oh man,
Gosh,
yes.
I
Right? So
don't
I was
miss
like, I
that
don't want to
traffic.
live here
Yeah.
anymore. Plus, there's the political factor in I felt that a candidate I don't like will win the presidential election. I was like, okay, it's time to move. Right? So
When was this?
around 2014, 2015.
Mm.
Okay,
And
okay.
so you can guess who the
Yeah,
candidate.
yeah.
Anyway, so we were actually deciding between Australia, New Zealand,
Mm,
and Canada.
Mm.
Right? And before coming here, I
you should
worked.
have picked Australia.
Actually have an offer in Australia before coming here. So I
Oh.
was trying to figure out, do I go to a place where I don't have work yet, or do I go to a place where I have everything figured out work wise? I ended up wanting to move farther from the Philippines so that, to practice that independence. Right? Because if I felt like if I'm near the Philippines, I'll still come back every now and
Mm.
then. Nonetheless, right, I'm here, and we arrived here in 2016 April. It was a bit cold, right? Spring is coming, and I was like, we were like so cold at 12 degrees, right? When
Yeah.
people are outside, sunbathing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the short story. It started with me, being stuck in the traffic, and me, finally flying here.
Mm. Was there such a big culture shock apart from the weather?
Oh yeah, the weather will always be an issue. I have a few here. I do have. I put some notes here because I knew you will ask that. um, I'm not calling your bosses as boss or ma'am or sir,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So we call everyone here first name basis, like even if it's the CEO. Hey CEO, his name. Right?
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. So did you
uh,
work in the Philippines before you
I did.
moved?
I was
Okay,
there.
because I didn't.
I worked there for 9 years
Oh, wow.
before flying
Mm.
here. So yeah, in there you still call your bosses sir, ma'am,
Mhm.
no first name basis. So that's the first adjustment work wise, other than the cold, and then the finances, right? Where you have to always convert, right? How much is this in peso? And I was like, oh, it's too expensive. Like 500 pesos will be around $10, $12 here. And when you think about that, it's expensive, right? I won't buy this. And then the language barrier, right?
Mhm.
Because and it's probably just me being too hard on myself, right? Because Filipinos are grammar polices, right? Diction polices. I'm not sure why we do that. And coming here, I was like, I wanted to sound like a Canadian, like someone who was
Mhm.
born in Canada. And it took a lot of coaching for me to finally find that voice, to finally own my diction, my accent.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest challenge for me, wanting to be a Canadian be- while being a Filipino, right? Like
Yeah.
like half of my life I was living in the Philippines, so you can expect that it's the accent that I was like, I don't want to sound like this. I feel like I won't excel if I sound like a Filipino
Mm.
talking. Right? So those are the things that I had to adjust for aside from the cold here in Canada.
That is so relatable, especially like the language part. So, I first came here in the UK when I was 16, and I remembered going to school, not sounding British, and I was trying so hard to get the accent. And I would sometimes think to myself, I don't really want to have that extra attention, so can I just please have the accent? But then obviously it's really hard to master, a specific accent. And when you mention something around you had to get a lot of coaching around that and just accept that it is your accent. I've come to the same realization because even though I've been living here in the UK for so many years now, I still have the Filipino accent and I'm proud of it because that's how people know that I'm from the Philippines. Whereas I think before I would be embarrassed to say that I don't have the British accent, which is so weird because I shouldn't have felt like that. But for some reason, I did. But now, I'm proud of the way I speak. When I speak at conferences, I've got an accent. They know that I'm from the Philippines. And so I just wish everyone would um, embrace that because I know some people are quite, I don't know, scared for them, for other people to know what their real accent sounds like. So they try to sound like they're somebody else.
So that. And you know what? A lot of people love our accent. I was like, your accent is so sexy, or your accent is so good, something like that. I said, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I want to, like you were saying, Kulas, you don't know where that comes from. I think that it comes from internalized racism on our
Mm,
part.
mm,
I think that when we grow up in the Philippines, and all three of us have, we are always taught that everything that's foreign is better. And in particular, everything that's American is better.
mm,
And that
mm,
includes the language. I mean, English is a prestige language in the Philippines, and I kind of come from the other side of it, where I went to private schools where we would get demerits if we spoke Filipino. And like my family spoke Tagalog at home, and they did speak English as well, but the first language was Tagalog. So
Yeah.
when I went into that school, it was all English all the time. And if you didn't speak it like a native English speaker, then you would get demerits. So for me, that kind of discrimination happened almost in reverse, because I've spent more of my life outside of the Philippines than inside it, and most people don't peg me as Filipino, except that I'm out about it and I'm proud about it. But if people don't know and they just speak to me on the phone, they think American,
Mm.
and they always assume I'm a native English speaker. And that also serves to alienate me because I feel still very strongly Filipino. I spent the first 18 years of my life there and I would never hide that. And yet there's this weird disconnect where Filipinos don't think I'm Filipino enough because of my accent or because of my experience after I moved away from the Philippines. Or I'm also insecure about like actually speaking straight Filipino all the time because to be honest, like my husband is a native English speaker, he's Australian, so I don't actually get that much practice and I've never worked in the Philippines. So I kind of experience it in reverse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm. Yeah. When you were because you said you were already working in the Philippines, class, were you already working in tech, or how did you start in your tech journey basically?
Okay, another funny story here. Uh, well,
Were you stuck in the EDSA traffic again?
no.
No.
Well, I don't know what to take when I was in the university. When I was
Mm.
about to go to university, all I know is that I'm not sure if you know Counter Strike, you know, the computer
Yeah,
Of
game,
yeah,
course,
yeah.
yeah.
right?
That was
Yeah.
big
So
in our time, I think.
exactly, exactly. I think we were born in the same, time frame, and Counter Strike was a thing, and I was like, this is so good. These are computers, and then when I was looking at the brochure for the university, I look for everything that has computer science,
Mm.
computer engineering, information technology was not a thing back then, so it's
Yeah.
just computer science and computer engineering. So that's how I got into tech, right? I signed up to study computer science. So I graduated from in the University of the Philippines in Los Baños. And obviously, if
Mm.
you're a computer science graduate, you're looking to go into tech, right? I think that's
Mm.
the logical route. And um, when I was the funny story there is that when I was trying to put my foot in the door of the industry, I wanted to be a developer first, but I was put in a
Mm.
testing capability, right? So,
Mm.
um, and I hated it back then. Right? I was like, I
Mm.
wanted to be a Java developer. I wanted to be a .NET developer because I'm a computer science graduate. Testing is not for people who did computer science. There's that belief in that, and I believe that too. So I was like, every day I was asking my manager to, hey, can you transfer me to become a developer? Doesn't matter. Can be COBOL, right? As long as I develop, right?
Yeah.
so so yeah, every day I asked my manager, and he told me that, you know what, here's a compromise. Why don't you automate? Right?
Mm.
In that way you get to test, and in that way you get to code.
Nice.
Right? So I was like, okay, I'll give this a shot. And then I started falling in love with testing. Right? It's not so uh it's not so tedious as developing an app, but it's also not an easy work, right? Wherein you get to practice both quality and development when you're doing automation. So that's how I got into tech, and that's how I got into testing, and still doing, you know, quality engineering stuff up to now, even though I'm already a DevOps coach. So that's the story.
Mm.
So how did you go from so you wanted to be a developer, then you got into testing, then automation testing in particular. Was there ever a point where you were like, I could actually go to development now and it would be a lot easier? Like you did you make a conscious decision to stick with testing or did you just kind of keep going?
Yeah, first 2 years was hard. Well, I'm bounded by a contract to stay with the company for 2 years, right? So the reason why I was in testing is because I have no choice, right? They have
Mm.
bench resources, right? And we have opening in this testing bench. So I was put in there, but in the first 2 years of my career, I was thinking, should I go the developer route, because I'm a computer science graduate, right? That's what computer science graduates do. Um, but I saw how developers are always stressed, how developers are always like doing overtime. I was like, do I want that? Or do I stay here in my lane, right? Well, where I get to develop and still test, right? It's a specialized role, right? When you do automate tests. So after 2 years, and then I moved to another company. That's how I promote myself now. I'm an automation tester, right? So I never look back. Like, do I still want to be a developer? I don't know, but I can do development outside my current job, right? So that's how
Mhm.
I enjoy developing something. And then, how we were talking about it at the beginning, wherein I have segmented life, right? I have a personal life and I have a work life. And my personal life, I try to inject some development work, right? But in my day job, for example, it has changed though in the last year because I'm now coaching, but I still
Mhm.
do a little bit of technical stuff.
Yeah. So maybe now's the great time to move into that coaching
Yeah.
topic. So you said that you are now a DevOps coach. Tell us about the role. So what made you decide to move from your role as an automation tester and now you're a DevOps coach?
Yeah. So actually, I am a certified life coach, right? And I was thinking, why do I have to going back there again? Why do I have to separate my personal life and my work life? And it could be both, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I got into coaching is because as a technical people, right, we use our logic more than our hearts, right? And that's what governs our work life, our logic. Because if you're not thinking, then you're not working, right? So coaching for me is where I can exercise my heart space. So it started actually just as a source of personal development. So I enrolled in a life coaching course, just to be a better husband, to be a better person, to be a better employee, a better father. So that's the rationale for that one. Until I figured out that, hey, this can create impact,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not just for me, but the people around me and the people that I will be coaching. So I still continued. So I started that journey in 2016 when we arrived here in Canada. And I continued my day job as a tech person, right? Automated tester, doing technical stuff. And then um, 2022, I got an offer to say, hey, why don't you try doing coaching at work? Right. So I was like, this might be my dream come true, right? I don't have to have a separate coaching practice. I get to coach at work. So that's where it all started, right? So the decision was so obvious because that was what I was looking for the longest time, to coach people, to coach teams, to coach squads. I was like, this is a perfect offer for me. So I jumped the the gun and went to that DevOps coaching role. And you know what? The funny thing is that up to now, I'm still involved with quality, right? I cannot really do away with that one because they know me as a quality person. So I still coach in our company right now. I still coach the quality engineering team, right? And how they can incorporate DevOps, how can they do things faster, those sort of things.
Wow. That sounds like a really awesome role. I don't think a lot of companies have DevOps coaching
Mm.
role, or maybe I'm mistaken, but I haven't heard a lot of companies. I know there's companies with quality coaches or like quality engineers who act as a coach, so they go to different teams, but never a DevOps coach. So that's a really interesting take. So it shows that companies are taking DevOps practices really seriously, and it sounds like yeah, you found a dream job.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. So, yeah, you're right. Even if you search in LinkedIn, there will be very few openings for DevOps coach, right?
Yeah.
Which is a double-edged sword, right? Either it's a good
Mm.
thing,
Yeah.
right, wherein you get to specialize, but it's also a hard thing because it's hard to move, right?
Mhm.
You might be stuck there forever. But as you were saying, if it's a dream job, then there's really no problem, right? Being stuck.
Yeah.
Can we step back and talk about what is a coach and what is a DevOps coach and what do you do?
Okay, that's a good question. So
Yeah.
DevOps coach act as change agents, right? They Most of us, at least our team, are technical people. They are technical leads, right? I was a quality engineering lead from before. So it's a bit different when you compare it with life coaching that I do outside, or executive coaching, because the DevOps coaching is more action oriented, maturity oriented, wherein we have these sets of practices. We have to mature on these practices. right? So it entails us trying to tell teams to do this and do that, right? So it's more consulting, a little bit of coaching if you think about it. The main difference with life coaching is that you have to believe that the client has the answers to their questions, right? And you have to support them, right? So I think the biggest difference here is that you need to have a lot of patience as a coach, right? Because if we are doing tech stuff and we have the technical skills to do it, we just do, right? We just code, we just test. But the thing with coaching is that you have to believe that they will do what they say they will do, and trust them, and then guide them if they don't do what they say they will do, right? So it's that patience thing that I think is the most essential part of coaching, that you have to be patient, that even if you know the answer, right, you let the client figure out what the answers are for them. So
Mm.
that's the main difference. For DevOps coaches, it's more consulting work, right? Just because at the end of the day, we have to be technical in the workplace, right? We still have to know what they are doing technically. When it comes to life coaching, you don't even have to know what they are doing, right? It's just really you take them as is and then take them to where they want to be. So I hope I've explained my role a little bit clearer.
Yeah, so you mentioned life coaching, DevOps coaching, and also executive coaching. So what is then executive coaching?
Executive coaching is when you coach leaders, right? People who
Mm.
are managers and up, typically VP and up, right? And then there's also the team coaching and group coaching. Those are all different practices, sort of niches, right? When you are a coach, right? There could be a business coach as well, or a financial coach, spiritual coach. Nowadays, everyone is a coach, right? I'm not sure if you've noticed, you have a dog walking coach as well, right? So everyone can be a coach nowadays. But yeah, executive coaching is more on the VP, AVP
Mm.
level and up.
Yeah. What's the main difference? So now that we've spoken about what coaching is, the different kinds of coaches, what would be the difference between coaching and, let's say, mentoring?
Okay, that's a good question. Um, I'll start with mentoring. Mentoring is you've been there and you've done that, and you show the other people what to do.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like 10 steps to becoming a better person, or 10 steps to becoming a better quality engineer. It's because you have the expertise, right, to do what that other person is trying to do. Right. So that's what mentoring is. So you guide them based on the steps that you've done, your experiences, right? So the main difference with coaching is that you don't tell them what to do. Again, we always come from a place as coaches that the client has the answer to their questions, right? So just a scenario, for example, if the client wants to be a quality engineering lead, right? If you are coaching, the question as a coach is, what does a good quality engineering lead looks like?
Mm.
Rather than if you're a mentor, this is what
Yeah.
a good quality engineering lead looks like based on my experience. So that's the difference with mentoring and coaching.
Mm. That's a really nice, clear definition because um, I think what I've done in the past is a bit of mentoring where I've explained to people who, for example, want to learn how to automate tests, or if they want to learn a specific tool, then I help them and guide. Okay, well, this is how you do it. So I'm telling them how to do it based on my personal experience.
Mhm.
But I don't think I've ever done any coaching at all because I don't think I've ever told people, okay, what do you, actually, maybe in some scenarios, because I've asked like team members before questions like, what do you think a good automated test looks like? So I make them think rather than me, I guess, explaining everything from my experience. But what made you decide to do this life coaching? Because I think you said that you started doing this coaching when you moved to Canada. Is that correct?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we move here in Canada, you know how if you are in the Philippines or even in Singapore when I was working in there, nightlives are so busy, right? Not that I go to bars, not that I go to you know to different places. It's just that when you come to Canada, the scenario is that it's just really work and home, right? Work home, church, right? That's the routine here, and. And I was like, I have a lot of time on my hands. I feel like I could be a better person, right? So let me see. And then I remember a friend from the Philippines saying that, hey, you can be a life coach, right? But if you are someone who don't know what a life coach is, what is a life coach? Is that someone who tells me how to live my life better? Right? Is that someone who can make me a better person? So I look in the internet and then check what a life coach is, and I figured, oh, there's a training for a life coach, and I have a lot of time. I'll figure out the tuition later. It's a bit expensive, right? When you go to a coaching school, it's a bit expensive, but I'll figure out the coaching there. All I know is that I have time and I want to be better, right? So that's where I signed up. You know, took my coaching class for about 9 months and then started practicing. So yeah, that's the rationale. Time, wanting to be better, became a life coach.
Yeah.
So we talked about like the different types of coaching and then also coaching versus mentoring. What are your thoughts on the difference between, say, life coaching and therapy?
Okay, that's a very good question again. You gals are asking really good questions. Yeah, that because I do that a lot. We try to differentiate what coaching is with a lot of stuff from therapy to mentoring to
Mm.
training to being a friend, right? So I wrote a blog about that actually. And the difference between coaching and therapy is that when you go to a coaching, you want it to be from functional to optimal, right? What coaches do. What therapists do is from broken to functional, right? So that's the delineation. So, for example, if someone is asking to be coach on addiction, for example, right, that's something that the coach will not do. It's something that should be done by a therapist or a counselor, for example, because we are not equipped to handle that. Another
Mm.
thing is if along the conversation there is a mention of wanting to hurt themselves, right? So we stop coaching right away because that's not what coaches do. Again, coaches are from functional to optimal, right?
Mm.
Therapists are from broken or non-functioning, right, to being functional. So it's sort of a continuum work between therapists and then coaching. You know what? If therapists are coaches as well, then it's a one-stop shop. Right? So I was thinking that should I be a therapist so that is I'm a one-stop shop, right? But yeah, that's the main difference between the two.
Mm.
So I actually have both. I have a professional coach and a therapist.
Yeah,
And so I do think that there are differences in the
yeah,
approaches. In my experience, I mean, I'm only thinking of like I've been on the receiving end. I haven't
yeah.
done therapy or coaching. But I think another difference might be that with a coach, the focus is on work, on my career, on like the identifying the next step or identifying obstacles or limiting beliefs, but all to do with work, really.
Mm,
And in therapy, that's when we get into like unconscious beliefs that hold us back from certain areas of life, or we also talk about the past a lot,
yes.
whereas I think coaching is more future
Future.
focused.
That's true. And it depends on what coaching you want to do. It seems
Mm.
like you wanted career coaching, right? But
Yeah.
mind you, even if it's career coaching, the aspect of life will always come in, right? Like there will be
Yes.
time management, there will be relationships, right? There
Yeah.
will be money issues, right? So yeah, so as I was saying, even if you niche, um, if you have a niche in coaching, right, know that it will always come back to life, right? It will
Mm.
always come back to transition, right? Regardless whether it's executive, whether it's although it's a bit different with team and group coaching because you deal with a lot of people, right? But if it's individual coaching, it always comes back to life. So life coaching is sort of a catch it all, right niche wherein you try to work on the different aspects of life.
So, can you talk about like some common issues that people come to you with? Like you must, I don't know if there are things that you've identified that people always ask for.
Yeah. Um, so you know what's good about coaching is that you get to realize that everyone has the same problem, right? I thought that if you're a CEO or if you're a VP, right, you have a different set of problems. And
Yeah.
when we do that executive coaching, I was like, I can relate to that. That was my problem too. Right? That was a challenge too, right? So the most common ones is especially if it's executive coaching, right? Since that's what I'm doing a lot lately, it's dealing with people, right? How do I deal with this resource of mine who don't respect me? Right? How do I deal with my boss who keeps on pushing everything to me? Right? So and then it's either if especially if it's executive coaching or coaching in the workplace, it's I there's always the conversation of do I stay or do I go? Right? I'm
I
not
feel like
happy
you're about
anymore.
to sing right now.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, let me play my drums. That's an intro. Yeah, so yeah, those are the things that you realize that at the end of the day, titles are just titles, and humans are humans who have the same sets of challenges. It comes in different combinations, but at the end of the day, you what they experience, you experience. What you feel, right? They feel, right? Regardless of the title. So that I think is the most eye-opening experience for me in coaching because we used to think that my problem is unique. My challenge
Mm.
is unique. But when you start talking to people that, hey, I have that problem too. Hey, you know what? My client used to have that challenge too. Right? It makes humanity sort of an equal playing field. Right. So that I think is the common theme, right? When it comes to the clients that I talk to nowadays.
Mm. Just going back, because I know you started your role in testing and then more automation testing and then now coaching. Do you ever miss doing a lot of hands-on technical stuff, or do you still do a lot of technical stuff now that you're a DevOps coach?
But I miss it a lot. I can say that my technical work is about 5% of the time
Mm.
nowadays. So I do miss it. The good thing about DevOps is the technologies are never ending. The practices are always changing. Not saying quality engineering has stalled, right? It's just that when you talk about DevOps, they try to put a lot in it. There's DevSecOps, there's also FinOps. All of that has something to do with DevOps. So yeah, I do miss it from time to time, but I try to do a little bit of technical work, like knowing what the tool does, right? So I try to create an application so that I can, use the DevOps tools that we have from building to deploying. So yeah, that those are little things that I try to enjoy now that it's not my main role anymore.
Mm. But do you think it's still very helpful that as a DevOps coach, you still need to familiarize yourself with all the technical, I guess, improvements? Because, like you said, technology is always changing.
Yeah.
So, as a DevOps coach, do you have to do a lot of learning as well? Do you have to keep up with the latest practices so that you can share all those important insights back to the teams that you are coaching?
Yeah. I think, and I did this in one of my talks. Um, the coach at least need three skills, right? First, they need the technical skills. They also need communication skills, and then finally, they need the coaching skills, right? So, like since we are working in the technical field, we still have to be technical, right? Because our clients are technical. Our clients know their stuff, right? So it's really important that you know the technology, you know what's happening outside, was you know what's happening in the industry. So technical skills, I think, at least as a DevOps coach or a quality coach or anyone who works in the technology field is a must. Then there comes the communication skills, right? So if you don't like listening to people, then coaching might not be right for you because coaching entails a lot of patience and listening, right? So I always emphasize on that one because not everyone is built to listen,
Mm.
right? So it's skill that either you have or you can acquire, right? But you cannot really force it to a person, right? So if communication skills is not with you, right? Either you train for it or you just stay as a technical person or a developer because transitioning to a coach without your listening skills, it will be really hard. And then finally, the coaching skills, right? Because at the end of the day, there's a coach in your title for a reason, right? So you have to master coaching skills as well. So those are the three things I guess that we as coaches, right, regardless whether it's DevOps, it's quality, that we should have and master and harness.
Would you both be okay? Because I'm very curious, and I would like to kind of go over some questions and answers for those three topics. So, like, something commonly asked in life and transition coaching, and then one that's commonly asked for more professional or executive coaching, and then one for DevOps coaching. If you're both okay with that.
Yeah,
Yep, go
let's
ahead,
go.
Nicole.
Okay, what about the life one? What's something you'd like to tackle, like a question and your general answer?
Okay, so the life one. Let me just think
Would
of
this
a
be like
recent
the
lineup.
holistic living thing?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the holistic living thing. Yeah, so there because I'm kind of biased, right? Because I've heard your story and it's the other way around, right?
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, people always try to segment their lives, right? How they show up, right? So I show up differently at work. This is Colas at work, and this is Colas at church, and this is Colas with friends, right? So that notion of having to change your personality or how you show up is mostly the common theme when it comes to life,
Mm.
right? That's why the goal most of the time is to have a holistic um, approach or perspective to life. Wherein, and I say holistic, that there's really no line between church, work, personal, friends. You just show up as you are, right? You don't have to act so professional when you're at work, right? You don't have to act so happy when you're in your with your family, right? So it's like really being honest with yourself when you show up, right? So that you don't have a facade that, hey, at church, you know what? Kulas is like this. He's so religious. He kneels down when it's time to kneel down. He prays and worship, right? When it could be a practice even outside church, right? If you're religious, right? If you have a lot of faith, why does it have to just be in a setting like church? Right, so it's like really embedding everything that you have. If you're at work, it's being professional, right? Why can't you be professional in your daily life as well, with your kids, with your friends, right? Wouldn't it be a good thing if you are professional everywhere, right? And then
Mm.
lastly, why can't you be as happy-go-lucky, right? When you are in your personal space, why can it be the same thing at church, at work, right? So that's sometimes most of the most bulk of the coaching go. But again, since life coaching is so general, right? Like
Yeah.
you can compare it with a general practitioner, right? In medicine, we're in. Oh, I have a cold. Oh, I have a cough. Oh, I have a broken bone. Okay, come to me, and we'll we'll try to find a specialist for that one. That's what life coaching is. So you get a lot of different challenges, and as I was saying, it's just really for them to it all boils down to transitioning them from their point A to point B, regardless whether it's money, faith, relationship, career. It's always that transition from point A to point B. And that's, I think, is the main differences between each of the people I coach. Because their point A's are different, their point B's are different. Right? And your goal as a coach is to bridge that gap, right? It's like GPS, right? um, they have their point A, they have their point B. You are the GPS, right? If you took a wrong turn, you help them. If they took the fastest route, why did you do that? And what did you learn? Right? Those sort of things. So that's the life part of it.
Mm. Just a quick question around this holistic living,
Yeah.
because I know some people are trying their best to achieve this work life balance.
Mm.
I've read some articles saying that work life balance is a myth. It's not really a thing because when you're not working, you might still be thinking about
Yeah,
working.
yeah, yeah.
And if you're passionate about something, you tend not to switch off. So, what's your advice around that in terms of is that something that you talk to your to the people that you're coaching with in that achieving that work life balance or the lack of yeah, let's say.
Hmm. So I'm not answering this as a coach, right? Because I
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
coaches don't give
Oh
advice,
yeah, you're not
right?
supposed
But
to
I'll
tell
answer
me.
this as a person,
Yeah,
right? As someone who can relate,
yeah.
right? So the work-life balance, I believe, that's a myth, right? So I'm
Mm,
on that side of the, the fence. It's just because if you are trying to practice becoming a whole person or doing holistic living, right? Then there's really no work, there's really no life. It's just is, right? It's just you being, right? So um an advice to work life balance, right? We have to always find out, right, what is fueling you being, doing more work or doing more life, right?
mm,
It's a touchy topic, right? But there are different reasons why they want to work more, right? It could be the overtime pay, could be about money, right? So we when it comes to that, it's really important to ask the person what is fueling, right, your current state right now, because for all we know, right, they don't have work life balance, and that's intentional. They're happy doing it,
mm,
right? But if it's a challenge right now, I want to do more with my spend time more with my family, with my friends, do things outside work, then that's a coachable scenario, right? What do you think is the best balance for you, right? Is it 60-40, 50-50, 60-40, or 100, right? So that's a conversation. So it's really hard to give an advice on that one because we all come from different um, places or different situations, right? So the I think the best advice is to ask the person,
mhm,
why are you in that state right now, and what are your choices, right? Because for some there are really no choices, right? They have to work because they have to feed the family, right? So and then life comes after, right? Because I have to feed my family first, otherwise life won't be there anymore, right? So yeah, so that's I hope
yeah.
that's something I answered your question.
Okay, so is that something that you would get in your capacity as a life coach, or is that more like is that something that comes up in executive coaching too?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, I have had clients. So the typical clients that I have right now, as I was saying, either stay or go. There's also, should I retire? Right.
Mm.
So those are the questions that they have now, right? Work life balance for sure. People who are in retirement, they are looking out for life, right? Because I've done my share in the workplace. Right now, it's time to focus on my life, right? Life outside work, right? But for people who are, for example, trying to move up the ladder, right? It's more work actually that they want. What can I do? What are the steps that I can take so that who are the people that I should talk to so that I get to where I wanted, right? So it comes up with executive coaching as well.
So what would be your answer to should I stay or should I go? How would you coach someone in that situation?
Yeah. My answer to that is I'm not here to make you stay or to make you go, right? Because that's not my role. My role is to for you to come up with the best decision for your life in your life, right? So you know the answer to that one. I do not have to tell you whether you stay or you go, right? Because that's what coaching is, right? You don't come in there biased. You don't come in there with an agenda. Because once I have an agenda to make them stay or to make them go, then that's my agenda already, right? It's not my clients anymore. So it's always like that. What do you want to do, right?
Mm,
And
So
I can support you.
how would you support them in trying to figure that out for themselves?
It's really a matter of what. Well, there are a lot of tools to do to use, right? One, there's the pain gain model, for example. What's the pain of staying here? What will be the gain of moving to another place, right? So that's one model, but it's really giving them multiple perspective than just stay or go, right? Because most of the time, the way we think about life, it's black and white, right? If it's not good, it's bad, right? But it can be a little bit good and a little bit bad. Now you have four options, right? So it's just really giving them options, right? Rather than hard choices to stay or to go. What if you can go but to a different team, right? What if you can move to a different role, right? So staying and going are two different, are depending on the interpretations, is different between individuals, right? So yeah, I think the most important part is to give them more options, right, than just the duality of life, right?
Oh, I'm learning a lot today.
Do
I feel like
you
I need
have,
a life coach.
yeah, do you
This is
have one,
turning to
Marie,
be
that you would
a life
like
coaching
to?
session, eh?
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry.
I think so. Marie, is there something that you particularly would like to ask? That's a personal
Ah,
question.
no, I think my main thing is, yeah, around like navigating life, and what if I make a decision in this part? How is that gonna impact, I guess, my career? Or it's like there's always trade-offs.
Yeah.
So it's about managing those trade-offs and managing my expectations as well. But maybe after this call, we'll
Mm,
have a chat.
for sure.
Yeah.
So, what's something from the DevOps coaching perspective? What kind of problems do they have?
Funny. It's funny because the most of the problem is who do I talk to, right? We don't have this skill, right? Who do I talk to? Right? And as I was saying, DevOps coaches, although they're technical, they are not specialists, right? So
Mhm.
specialist meaning if I need a CI/CD, right? We cannot do that for you. I mean, we can, but there are people more equipped, right,
Mhm.
to do that for you. So the tricky part here is that there's the enterprise DevOps coach, and there's a DevOps coach who works with specific businesses, for example. So we are the enterprise ones, right? So part of our task is to know who works on who, right? Who to connect people to, what
Mhm.
technologies are we are using, right? Plus also still trying to emphasize that DevOps will save us. DevOps will make us faster. So most of the question is and another thing is who is asking us to do this, right? So we have deliverables, we have continuous improvement. Which one should we focus on, right? So it's always that I have to deliver, I have to improve, right? Which one should we focus on? So yeah, it's always that balance between delivering something and improving something, right? And that's where we come in. So tools probably can improve it, processes could probably improve it, people can probably improve it. So that's most of the time is the discussion point between different squads and teams when it comes to DevOps coaching.
Yeah. You meant. Oh, sorry, Nicole.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was gonna make a comment that I think with your role, it's really important that you know a lot of people, because, like you said, you might be equipped to set up a CI/CD pipeline, but there are other people who are well more equipped to do it. So I'm guessing part of your role is to communicate better, to know um, which, I don't know, like people like amongst the team are really knowledgeable around like certain areas, so that you can connect those people with the teams that you are coaching with.
I might have forgotten to mention that, but one of the one of the most important skill to have as a coach in a workplace setting is networking,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have to know people, you have to build relationships with them, right? Not because you are told to, but because you genuinely want to connect with them, to understand them, right? So that because it's reciprocating, right? If you they need something, you can give it to them. If you need something, they can give it to you, right? So that I think is one important thing as a coach, right? Yeah, you have to network a lot. And as I was saying, if the scope is enterprise, our company right now works with different regions. So imagine the amount of networking we have to do. We have to
Mm.
network with people in Asia, in the US, in Canada, in Bermuda, in Singapore, right? So the scope is big, right? And it's also enjoyable too. As I was saying, if you don't have communication skills, then coaching is not for you, right? Because for you to be able to network, you have to communicate, right? You'll need to communicate and learn to listen. So yeah, we have to
Mm.
know the who in the company for us to be able to serve our clients better.
Yeah. I have a different question, and this is from a different angle or different perspective because we've talked about your journey to being a coach, finding your dream job as a DevOps coach. Were there any moments throughout your journey where you were thinking, oh, this is frustrating, I can't do it anymore? Or like any challenges that you face? Because I can imagine that there were probably ups and downs. So were there any, I don't know, important experiences or key experiences that you've faced? Any challenges being a coach role?
Mm-hmm. So part of our mandate as DevOps coaches is to break down silos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then silos are, especially for a company that has been in existence for 100 years, you'll see that silos are so prevalent, right? So they are there, and the most challenging part, I think, as a coach is to play politics, right? Whether we like it or not, right? Politics exists in the workplace, right? And as coaches, you 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 have to navigate through that, right? Because as a hierarchical um company or a workplace, there are levels for a reason, and there are power plays for that comes with the levels, right? So that's I think is the most frustrating part for any transformation, right? Is to try to break down silos that has been in existence for the longest time, right? And I learned this from my mentor at work that at the end of the day, you can play politics, but ensure that you are still a good person, right? At the end of it all, right? Whether you play politics or not, just ensure that you are still a good person, right? And that's the life part of it. Put That's the life part playing in the workplace, right? At the end of the day, if you played politics and you hated yourself, right, for doing that thing, then what good does it give you, right? So yeah, so whenever I feel frustrated, whenever politics is at play, it's always navigating through that, at the end still being a good person. I hope I
Mm.
answered that.
Yeah. No, that's
Can,
that's that's a really excellent, yeah, excellent
can you
way
tell
of.
us about Move Forward and Up?
Oh, yeah, that's my side project. It's the company that I have. It has now turned into Move Forward and Up coaching and consulting, right? So I'm so bad with naming stuff. I was part of a band. I have like how many bands now, and never have I given a band name. That's how bad I am when it comes to naming stuff or putting a title to stuff. And the reason why I came up, see, move forward and up is a long word, right? Move forward and up. So I was like, so I the shortcut for that is MFAU, but it's also in terms of syllables, it's almost the same, right? So move forward and up is really about, we don't just move forward, right? Because if you move forward, it's plateauing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you want is exponential growth, right? So while you are moving forward, ensure that you are moving up as well. So that's what exponential growth is all about. I know it's important for us to move forward, but it's also important for us to move up, right? Hence the name Move Forward and Up. And that's my coaching company.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. I love all the insights that you've shared, especially around the life part. So I think, yeah, we're gonna have future conversations. I can I can
Yeah, for
imagine.
sure. I love that.
Yeah. I
So,
guess. Yeah. Yeah, go on, Nicole.
Sorry. I was just saying maybe it would be a good time to talk about, like, for anyone who is interested in getting in touch with you, how does that process go? Like, where do you begin?
Mm. Okay. So right now, as part of me, trying to balance my life, not work life, I'm only taking in like one, two clients at a time, right? Just because I want to enjoy my time with my kids, I want to enjoy my time with my wife, right? So I only take in one to two clients, right? If you want to reach out to me, I am in every social media app out there. Just search Kulas Angeles or Kulas Angeles, right?
Angeles.
Right, and you'll find me. There's also a contact me form in the website that is displayed right now, moveforwardandup.com. And it's really the way I do things is it starts with the discovery call, right? And I always do that because what if I don't want to work with that person and that person do not want to work with me, right? So that's what the discovery call is all about. Let's see if there's an opportunity for us to work together, right? So that's how I always start my coaching engagement, right? So as I was saying, I only have one slot right now, right? Because I want to protect that time that I spend with my family. So yeah, if you do want to reach out with me, I do create motivational stuff on Facebook Reels, right? I do have some DIY stuff on my YouTube channel if you want to look that up too. What else? So I'm mostly on Facebook, right? Kulas Angeles. I have a page.
Awesome. Do you have a long wait list then, Kulas?
Yeah, it's hard to turn down people, right? But you know what? If I do take them in, then
Yeah.
I'm not protecting my boundary as well. So yeah, there's a wait list, and not that I'm so popular as a coach, right? I don't have that like 100 people waiting because that happens to Tony Robbins, for example. Right? 100, 1,000. I'm not that, right? It's just that now I'm more selective, right, on who I coach because it has to work, you know, both ways.
Nice. And I guess to close this, one question that we like to ask everyone who's been a guest in our live stream is, what advice would you give to women or underrepresented groups, or I guess to anyone who wants to have a career in tech?
Wow, I think it's really changing your mindset, right? I know there's the reality that there's gender equality, right? The gender inequality, right? And that there are power plays all over the world, right? But if you let those stuff or society take your power, right? Then you are giving it to them, right? If you are giving it to them like really without hesitation, then you will always be at the losing end, right? So I think it's really taking back your power, right? Ensuring that whatever you are working on, you fight for it, right? And at the end of the day, like what my mentor was saying, whether you fight for it or not, as long as you're a good person, right? That's what's important, right? At the end of the day, after all the war, after all the battles, ensure that you are a good person, right? Fighting for your right. I
Amazing.
was not prepared for that one.
We always like to catch everyone off
Yeah.
guard. Great. Well, thank you so much for being an amazing guest with us, class. Next week, we'll be back again with another special episode. But I really hope that everyone gained some new insights, learned what the difference are between coaching, between mentoring, and therapy as well. But yeah, that is it for today's episode of Adobo and Avocados. Thank you so much, Kulas, for having your time and sharing a lot of insights with all of us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's very rare for Filipinos to do this, right? So when
Yay.
Marie asked me to do this, let's go, right?
Yeah.
Because I wish we can do a Tagalog episode, right? But
Yeah.
probably in the
Yeah.
future, right? Nicole, I know
Maybe.
you miss speaking Tagalog, right? So why not, right?
Yeah, let's do
Let's
it.
do it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And yeah, hope everyone will have a great day.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. See you
Bye.
next